start off and introduce our guest today. Brandy Hunter is the founder of the Aspiring Emergency Managers Online group on LinkedIn. I know I first heard of Aspiring Emergency Managers way back in, it might have been March or April, or at least I heard that term. And I'm glad it's grown into this group. And Brandy is also currently enrolled as a student at Pierce College in Lakewood, Washington, in the Homeland Security Emergency Management program. And for people like me up in Canada, when they hear people are going to Homeland Security program, that's scary. We don't have that up here. So welcome, Brandy.
Hi.
How's it going today?
It's good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time. So, aspiring emergency manager. So, as I had mentioned, I had heard it first as a term. I don't know if it was actually a group or a thing then. And so, I'm just curious to know really the history of the LinkedIn group and
Right.
how it got started.
So I first heard about aspiring emergency managers from John Howledge. He is a professional emergency manager who's actually here in Washington State. And when I first met him on LinkedIn, he was the one who actually coined the phrase aspiring emergency managers. He wanted it to sound as if, these people wanted to be in it. So it just wasn't like, oh, hey, my name is Brad Eisen and I'm interested in being an emergency manager.
Yeah.
These people are aspiring. They want to be, they have a desire and a passion. So John Howledge, he actually came up with that phrase.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
And so where did that lead to in terms of forming the group? Where did that idea come from?
So, well, I'm an aspiring emergency manager myself. The group just came about because I wanted to create a resource for, I guess you would say, aspiring emergency managers. But it started out with the people that were in my college, that were in the program, the Homeland
Okay.
Security Emergency Management Program. We are all online. We don't have any way to connect. I noticed that we really didn't have a means to network. I mean, unless we were going to volunteer with the American Red Cross,
Right.
or if we were going to be doing internships within the program, then that would probably give us a chance to network. Somehow I found my way on LinkedIn. And as I started to get to know and network with a lot of the professional emergency managers, I said, hey, okay, there's people out here that really want to help.
Hmm.
And so then the idea started to grow and grow, like, okay, I got resources. I have people who are very knowledgeable within this field, that really want to help me and other people who are
Yeah.
like me to get into this field. And then just like last month, I was like, you know what? Let's start a group. I've never started a group on LinkedIn before. I had all these networks and all these other connections with aspiring emergency managers that were asking me, like
Oh
if I
yeah.
had any clue
Yeah.
on to how to get into the field. Like I was
Yeah.
already a professional emergency manager. And I'm like, let me start a group where I can have it dedicated to the aspiring emergency managers and
Nice.
then have it supported by professional emergency managers to kind of be a conduit, within the field and connecting these people together.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
And so what are do you know what the numbers are right now in terms of just people in the group on
It
LinkedIn?
it's like it's the last time I checked, I think it was like over 550, like
Wow.
555 people. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And the group has only been around since the beginning. I want to say the beginning of July, really. So like what,
Yeah.
3 weeks?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So what do you think, what is the attraction in it? And if there's anyone listening who wants to yeah, absolutely, Tobias, thanks for saying that. If there's anybody out there that has a question or a comment or anything, absolutely let us know. But I'm just curious as to where you see this going.
So right now we are in the talks of a podcast. One of the aspiring emergency managers came up with the idea, and he said, "Hey, I'm really interested in podcasts." And I'm like, "Hey, let's go!" Because the purpose behind aspiring emergency managers is to give them opportunities.
Hmm.
It's not for professional emergency managers to take the wheel and do whatever they want. So we have a podcast coming up. We were asked to participate in 2 summits. So that's going to be very exciting. I am looking forward to finding out what that's going to be about. And then some people mentioned job boards, creating a job board.
Yeah.
So we will probably have to create a job board outside of LinkedIn. I don't want to just stay within LinkedIn. We can do things outside eventually, especially once COVID-19 starts to hopefully get better. I don't know if
Oh
you want
yeah.
to, and then
We'll
we can,
see.
right. Yeah. And then so I want to start a mentorship program. A lot of the aspiring emergency managers have vocalized that they are looking for mentors
Yeah.
right now. And so having a mentorship program and, having that connection with other, professional EMs would be great. People could sit there and tell them about their life. They don't want to hear like, okay, you need to do this and this and this and this, but be relatable. So we're trying to find some really good professional emergency managers who really want to spend time with maybe 1 or 2 aspiring emergency managers, however they feel like they want to do that, and
Hmm.
connect with them. Then we're actually talking about a 501c3 nonprofit
Okay.
organization.
Oh
So
yeah.
that is
Okay.
also, so that's our long-term goal right now with
Yeah.
AEMO.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Fred, for that feedback. Yeah. And so what support, and I guess I'm kind of curious is around how can people contribute and participate with the group if they are let's start off with as a professional, seasoned, experienced emergency manager.
Right.
Other than
So
mentoring, other than mentoring, what else?
people have came up and said they could do webinars. Hosting webinars. People want to hear how to get into whatever field that is. So if you
Okay.
are in public health and you specialize in emergency management somehow, one gentleman, he's a professional emergency manager, and he was talking about crisis management. With like NATO and UN, and he wanted to see how many people were going to be interested in learning about that field. And so he wanted to also create a webinar. So that's another way that you can get involved. I mean, there's so many different ways. I know that these professional emergency managers have some ideas up their sleeve. That's why this group is supported by them.
Yeah.
A lot of
And they
these,
have lots of time and money too.
oh, they do. They have lots of time. And
Yeah.
so, if you
Yeah.
have an idea, if you're a professional emergency manager and you have an idea, go on the board and share it. Share
Yeah.
it with the group. You don't have to contact me and say, Brandy, is this a good idea? I don't, hey, as long as it's supporting aspiring emergency managers, it's fine with me.
Okay, that's good to know that there's some free range ability here for professionals to come in and engage without having to be bogged down in too much formal
Right.
policy or procedure, because I think a lot of them get that in their normal day-to-day job enough around that bureaucracy. So
Yeah.
that would be cool. So thanks, Howard. Yeah, what is crisis management? Sounds cool.
What
Yeah.
is crisis man?
Yeah.
I'm interested in finding out what crisis management is also. Like I said, I'm learning all this stuff too. So
Yeah.
I'm just here like just all the other aspiring emergency managers. I'm not, I mean, yes, I founded the group.
Yeah.
I'm not knowledgeable in all of these things. When somebody says, "Hey, I have the knowledge," I'm learning too. I'm looking for mentors. I'm always looking to learn about things as it pertains to emergency management as well.
Yeah. And so because I've noticed like the aspiring emergency managers that are at least in the LinkedIn group and on LinkedIn, like they are hungry to learn
Oh yeah.
and want to engage and be involved. And I know that there's a lot of post-secondary or universities that are, they're pumping out students like crazy.
Yeah.
But the job pipeline, the pipeline from when you graduate to getting a job, it's not a very big pipeline.
No.
It's difficult to get work.
It is
right?
difficult. It is very difficult. And then going back a little further into before AEMO, one of the reasons why I wanted to start it was because I was on another emergency management group, and there were a lot of other students that were graduating or had graduated from emergency management programs and were
Okay.
looking for ways to get in the field. And the negative that I saw in the group, and the reason why I'm so positive with AEMO is because this group was so negative. It was so like, oh, well, you got your good luck,
Yeah.
like you can't do it with this and that and that. They were just not like motivational. It was kind of like a dead end for them. And these people had master's degrees and they were wanting to get a job. And I feel like, well, what I've learned from a lot of the professional emergency managers is that it's important to network. It's important
Yeah.
to have some people who have your best interests while you're trying to get a job. And so this is where that pipeline can connect. This is where we can connect the professional career with the people who are coming out of an education or maybe transitioning from another job into
Yeah.
emergency management.
Okay, awesome. And so what do we got in here? So yeah, Tobias, very similar to emergency management, but the term is used more in the corporate world. Absolutely. And so
Thank you,
thanks for that.
Tobias.
Yeah. And have you thought about reaching out to other colleges to get their students involved? Go National.
Yes,
Woo.
that is another one that we're thinking about as a long-term goal. Eventually, like I said, I want to get off of LinkedIn. Okay, I don't want to
Yeah.
just be here stuck in this group. This is not just a LinkedIn group. This is an organization. This is a community, and I want to eventually get in touch with a lot of these colleges, whether it's Pierce College, whether it's Purdue, whatever it is, whatever that college is that is has those programs. I would like for them to know that AEMO is available for students as a
Okay.
resource.
Okay. Awesome. That's that's good for them to know. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Brandy Hunter. She is the founder of the Aspiring Emergency Managers online group on LinkedIn and is currently enrolled as a student at Pierce College in Lakewood, Washington in the Homeland Security Emergency Management Program. And we're just talking about how Aspiring Emergency Managers online, the group has really taken off since July and kind of where it's headed. So what how do aspiring emergency managers get involved formally with you?
Well, I mean, they can do just like what the professional emergency managers are doing. They can
Okay.
just post something. I'm really trying to steer away from you asking me for permission,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
right now. I mean, but because we're in such an infantile stage. And so anything is possible. If you have an idea that, again, if it will benefit aspiring emergency managers, or maybe you're looking for information for yourself and you're an aspiring emergency manager, there have been people in the group that are asking questions right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how people can find out you are there. If you don't
Yeah.
say anything, nobody knows you exist.
Yeah.
You're just living in the background. So if you have an idea, sure, you can share it with me. You can shoot me a message and we can talk about it, and we can do a Zoom meeting or a phone call or whatever it is, and we can discuss it, especially if it's so detailed.
Yeah.
But go ahead. All ideas are welcome at this point.
Okay. And so thanks, Milo. Yeah, firm believer in mentorship, mutual support, empowerment for all within our profession. Yeah, peer support is a big one. There, you've got an offer from Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, thank you.
Yep,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And Cam as well. He's affiliated with a group to build a network and influence researchers and professionals.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and there's I know there's a professor. I actually think he's in Washington State. I won't say his name yet because he's got a paper coming out at the end of this month on emergency management as a profession,
Mhm.
and how currently people are getting in from emergency management in all different sorts of ways, either from a first responder career, a military career,
Mhm.
something like that. And he's kind of building a model to kind of that replicates a little bit about how a doctor would get into their profession.
Got it. Okay, that
And
sounds good. Yeah.
yeah, and it's trying to do away with that stigma that you can only be trained to work in an emergency coordination center or an operations center or on the ground from a first responder background. It's actually more about coming up through the education, the training, the mentorship, choosing your specialty, and then getting that training, just like an ER doctor would.
Okay.
Right. So,
Right.
like if 18-year-olds aren't coming out of high school saying I'm going to be a doctor and expect to be in the emergency room in 2 years.
Right. Of course.
And that's not what we want.
No.
But and I don't think emergency managers are expecting to get into an EOC off the bat either, but they would like the support and training for it.
Definitely. And there are some people that are in the group right now that I know of that do work in EOCs, and they are not active, but they are watching. And so they are allowing people to actually, I mean, you can volunteer. There's a lot of EOCs right now that are accepting, depending on, what their COVID-19 is looking like over there, if they don't want people to come in. But I do know that in some counties in my area, they are allowing people to come and volunteer. And that's a way to get your name out there, get recognized. So,
we're getting some comments coming on. Like, first response is not the entry point for EMs.
No.
Well, I don't know. It has been. I think it to a degree it is, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. And I think if you've got 20 years in the fire rescue service, I think there's still a need to have some emergency management education before you transition from a fire rescue career into an emergency management role.
Right. And again, you can still volunteer with your local first responders. Like if you want to volunteer and get some idea of how firefighters, respond to emergencies, either like an EMS. I mean, you have an opportunities out there to get some kind of experience or knowledge on what is happening. So you can say, hey, I kind of was there for, this emergency event. Even CERT. Volunteering for CERT, you can do that as well. And yes, Red Cross is a great organization to get experience. And so I don't have a background in, military. I don't have a background in first responders. I don't have a background. So that was one of my first concerns going into emergency management, was that I didn't have any experience outside of knowing that there was a Hurricane Katrina.
Right.
9/11, and because I was in high school, getting out of high school, and 9/11 happened. So, you can get experiences and skills in various ways. You just have to put yourself out there. You really do. This is that field where you have to put yourself in the forefront so people are aware that you exist.
Absolutely. And they need to know what you want to do, what you want to be.
Right.
Absolutely. So Frederick, can help to understand the connections between the roles and support needed to work. Absolutely. No doubt that I think you're alluding to coming from a first responder role into an emergency management role absolutely gives you that connection. I think what we're saying is that it's not required. And I think there was a misconception decades and decades ago that was a requirement, but that's not necessarily the case anymore, just due to the amount of training, education available, and the types of events that we're seeing now.
Right.
I had on Dr. Randall Collins, president of the All Hazards Incident Management Teams Association, and his IMT in his local community responded to a cyber threat.
Oh, okay.
So that was the first case that he knew of, at least I think. Don't quote me on this, but where an IMT was responding to a cyber incident in his community. Tobias, absolutely. Response provides good experience and breadth of knowledge. EMs are not responders on the front line. I've always said, right, there's the word management is in there for a reason. That does include a cubicle and a nice desk. You don't always have to have all the gear and kit with you. What about military? I have my bachelor's and master's. I transitioned out of military in about 2 years. Yeah. I don't know. What do you, I mean, I can give you my thought. I think for military, coming out of military into a civilian organization, it's a huge transition. And there's nobody I would rather have at the leadership point in a major disaster is with some military experience, because
Mm-hmm.
they've got gut instinct, they've got experience, they handle themselves well under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But they need a team, right? And I think the tough part for veterans coming out of the military and into a civilian organization is the culture shock. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Civilian organizations now have very different values, very different leadership styles. They're and than the military, and I think it's a hard transition for them culturally.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my only advice, Michael, as you make that transition, to pay attention to the culture around you, the organization you're going into, the values, the ways of working. What does respect in the workplace mean? What does disrespect in the workplace mean to that culture? And try and fit in as best you can.
Right. Right.
Yeah. What else we got here? If you've got comments you see, to a degree, it's been historically, it was firefighter, assume those roles. Yeah. Emergency management came from the depths of civil defense.
It did. It did.
Absolutely. And emergency management has adopted a lot of business practices,
Mm-hmm.
right, out of the business world.
Right, and I don't mean to interrupt you. And like
That's okay.
Brad was saying, is that you could. We're not saying that you can't come in here with a degree or experience with EMS or firefighter or any first responder background. We're saying is you can, and it helps. It does help. But there's a lot of people who don't, like myself, who don't have that background. And I don't want to be discounted because I don't have, or, I'm pretty sure other people feel this way too, that we don't want to be discounted because we don't have, a firefighter background, or we don't have military background. Some of my professors don't have those backgrounds. So, and they are experts in the field of emergency management. And so we're not saying, again, we're not saying that that's not what is needed or you need to have it. It just helps. It helps.
Yeah, no, that's good advice, Michael. Yeah, take the boots off, and
Mm-hmm.
it's about integrating with the culture that you're going into, and
Mm-hmm.
it's still, at least in Canada, to a large degree, emergency management is still, there's an even mix of civilians that have come in from different roles and military, and in some areas those cultures mix okay, but in others they don't, and mostly because, in my experience, the the civilian managers don't move as quickly. They like to spend a bit more time, asking the policy questions, gathering the data,
Mm-hmm.
getting the information before decisions are made, and not relying so much on the instinct to make decisions. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of been my experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Glenn. Yep. You need a team experience, understanding of the culture.
Mm-hmm.
Glenn did transition from the military. Yeah, the two are far different. Yeah, unless you work within government. Government attracts a lot of veterans. And I worry about, that those cultures attract each other, and it's really hard to break down those walls, when you've got cultures moving in and they kind of gravitate towards each other. But
Mm-hmm.
okay, what else we got? Lots of comments rolling in here. Managers, not responders. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to shake
Yeah.
the mindset. Yeah. But that's why we're having this discussion, and that's why this group is formed, right?
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah, 2 to 4 hours experience repeated many overtime. Yeah. Days of experience. Yeah. Absolutely. So where, for people just joining us, what's the first step in contributing to the emergency managers online group? Just join the LinkedIn group,
Yes, it's not.
follow,
Yeah,
connect in.
yeah, it's not a complex thing at all.
Yeah.
It should not be complex. I mean, we're a LinkedIn group. You just join. I mean, the only thing that I ask, or the only thing that, requires you to be a member of AEMO, is that you are in emergency management, homeland security, or a field that is related to emergency management.
Yeah.
And so right now I've been doing a lot of weeding out of people that don't have what I feel is much relevance to the group.
Oh, listen to
I
that, people. She's weeding people out. Be careful.
I am weeding people out. So sometimes if you see numbers fall, it's because I'm kind of getting rid of some people.
Ah, the hatchet is out. Okay.
hmm
Yeah, is having an academic qualification in EM important?
Yes, I mean it helps. It does, but like a lot of people don't have an academic background or any. They're not in school for EM. They're like I said, they're just transitioning out of the military, or they're transitioning out of another career, and they find EM attractive. And so you don't need to have a qualification. You just need to have an interest in it. And so I guess that's the hard part about me weeding people out, is that I don't know if these people are genuinely interested. There's nothing on their profile that alludes to them, you know, being affiliated with emergency management. But yeah.
Yeah, no, some comments rolling in about, yeah, they're seeing it important. How can current EMs help in this group? Kind of went over that earlier, but I think you had mentioned some ideas.
Yeah, so, you like I said before, you don't have to. I'm not here to babysit anybody. I'm not here to micromanage what
No,
you
but she'll cut you loose at the first chance, the
yeah.
first sign of trouble. I'm just kidding.
Um, no, I mean, if you have an idea, you can,
Yeah,
you know, post it in the group discussion and say, this is what I'm looking to do for this group. This is what I can do. I'm experienced in this field, or I have knowledge in this. I want to be a mentor, or whatever it is that you feel that is going to contribute and benefit aspiring emergency managers. Go for it. I have a lot of people, professional emergency managers, asking me, what can I do? And I'm like, I don't know. What can you do? Like, I mean,
exactly.
there's so much right now. It's like I said, this group is in an infantile stage. Everything, all ideas, as long as it's benefiting aspiring emergency managers, okay,
Yeah.
is welcome. Not
And
benefiting yourself, okay? We're not trying to benefit you. If you are a professional, you have a career, you have a job, you are making money, you're fine.
yeah.
So,
Although I will defend this more seasoned older people.
okay.
They love to teach, and they
Oh
love
yeah.
to educate. So the
Mhm.
benefit to them is it helps with the transition from their career into retirement.
Right.
Knowing, like my grandfather says, knowing that people are still useful is helpful. And when you've been in a role like an EM for a while, either in government or wherever, when you retire, your relationship with people changes.
Mhm.
Your the perception about you as someone who contributes to society changes. And they want to be able to pass down and help others grow. I think that's something that just comes with getting
Right.
older, is you see the value in mentoring. So I would argue that the older seasoned people receive a benefit of being able
Oh,
to pass down and
oh yeah. Well, when
stuff
I
like
when I
that.
when I was I wasn't like I was being
I know
no.
you weren't. Yeah.
It wasn't even like that, like benefiting you and your whatever other alternative agenda, whatever that is.
Yeah, you
What
want it
I'm
to be
saying is,
sincere.
it's be sincere, exactly. Be sincere. If you be authentic about what you're doing.
Yep.
Again, it's not a complex thing. Don't make it complex. So
Yep.
yeah.
And I know you brought this question up on a couple of posts, and this is just my personal opinion, but I think that mentorship needs to be formalized between two people, so there's some boundaries to the relationship, and so you don't get into that, because that idea of them receiving benefits. Because I had a mentor,
hmm
and after a while, it turned into them asking me if I would buy their emergency management business, and I didn't want the relationship to go there.
Right.
Or it came about them wanting me to like go into a joint venture with them,
hmm
and
hmm
I wasn't ready for that as an EM,
hmm
and I wasn't. That's not where I wanted the relationship to go.
Right.
So
No, yeah, definitely.
so I think to create that safe environment for both the mentor and the mentee, there needs to be some understanding of the relationship, what's inbounds, what's out of bounds. Right down. It's kind of like when I coach. I've got an overarching agreement with my clients, but then every call we have, there's an agreement about what I'm going to do for my client,
Hmm.
and that helps to create those boundaries. So
Right.
if you're a mentor out there or mentee, try and get some of those in place.
Yeah, you definitely you need boundaries in a lot of relationships, any relationships that you have. And I think that the mentorship program will build upon those boundaries. They will put those in place. But as right now, for instance, I have mentors. There is
Yeah,
no, I mean, you think of like common sense. Like I mean, I wouldn't expect them to say, okay, Brandy, come and take over my, emergency management business. I mean, that's
yeah,
kind of, what?
it was crazy. Yeah, what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but my mentors are great. It's a relationship where I can call them up and say, "Hey, I need to talk to you about how do I get into this? What do I need to say? What do I need to do? What do I write on my resume?" I mean, there's a lot of that. And so, for me, I don't feel like, I mean, the boundaries are understood.
yeah,
It's kind of like, I get you, you get me. I'm not calling you late at night at 3 o'clock in the
yeah.
morning, crying my eyes out. We're not doing that.
No
It's
drunk
very
calls.
professional.
No
No,
drunk
no,
calls.
we
No
don't do
drunk
that.
calling.
We
Yeah,
don't do that.
yeah,
So it's very professional. So if you are looking for a mentor or you are a mentee, still carry yourself as if you are looking for a job. Be professional
yeah.
either way.
100%.
Hmm.
Any advice for those that are still in school on what to expect when we graduate?
Um, well, I will expect that you are going to have, I mean, everyone is different. Let's just put it that way. Everyone is not going to get out of school with a job unless you are working and building that experience up. And there are still people who've been volunteering and been doing internships, and then after they graduate, they still don't have a job. My only advice is to just stay the course.
Hmm.
If that is your goal, if you have spent all that time to be in education, to graduate, don't give up. Don't get discouraged because you didn't get a job within the next 3 months after graduation. It takes time. You still are working on yourself. You're not coming out of there a professional. People still have to recognize you. You still have to do the necessary things to get into the game. But just, the best thing I can say is just stay positive. Look for people to encourage you. That's what AEMO is about. It's about encouraging and motivating people, because I've come across so many people who have graduated from emergency management and that are so discouraged because they have been out of work for a year, okay,
Hmm.
coming out of school. And it's hard. I know that it's competitive. I'm still trying to graduate myself, and I'm very aware of it. I don't even know what it's going to look like after I graduate. Am I going to get a
Yeah.
job right away? I have a family, so just continue to volunteer, continue to do the internships. I know a lot of internships in emergency management don't pay, but just keep building your experience and keep adding onto your resume. That's the best thing that I can tell you. I don't know, Brad, do you have something?
Just be prepared to work and produce results. You've got to be able to display results, and it's like Brandy said. You do keep going at it. Get support, get help, get encouragement, get different perspectives. Sit with people to evaluate your interview skills and your resume. Take a lot of time to write down your interview examples. Be ready for them. Know the STAR method or the Carl method. I
Mhm.
think FEMA is big on the Carl method. So context, action, results, and learning. You've got to frame your answers in that sequence. But just be prepared to work and look for opportunities.
Mhm.
Either as a volunteer, write, try and
And
get
can
published.
Right, and continue to look at the jobs. What I was told by John Howledge is to print out all the job postings that I'm interested in.
Yep.
So, and then look at the gaps that you need to fill, because there will be some skills that are on there that you don't have, or maybe some trainings or certifications or whatever it is that you didn't earn while you were in school. And that is the time to start filling in those gaps.
Yeah. Meet as many Talk to the highest emergency management official in your state.
Hmm.
Email them and phone them until they go for coffee with you, and go for a tour of the office.
Yes.
Are you going to create any type of subgroups?
Mm.
Good
I have not
idea.
thought of, I haven't thought about um subgroups. Kyle, could you elaborate on that? Like, says feel or you feel?
I think he's looking at, maybe it's almost like specialties, maybe. So maybe
Oh
there's,
yeah.
a
Okay.
group of volcanologists and a group of policy
Right.
wonks or whatever.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
down the road we'll fill it out and see, who is all in the group and what people are looking for. And then if subgroups need to happen, then we'll start branching off and creating those subgroups. But right now, yeah, there's a lot of people that are coming from different backgrounds like healthcare and
Yeah.
public health and IT and all kinds of stuff that still are, emergency management. So having subgroups would kind of, separate it and make it a little bit more towards that whatever that goal is of yours. So that's
Yeah.
something we can consider. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Education. Thanks, Lynn. Um, the difference between certification and certificates. Absolutely. There's two, certification and certificates are two different things. And usually certification has a bit of a higher standard or requirement than maybe like what you'd see in a 1-year certificate. Mentorships need agreement on purpose, time limit, goal. Absolutely. No stepping outside of the intent of the mentorship, right?
Mhm.
No looking to get them to invest in your job. 100%.
Yeah.
We got tons of comments coming in. Michael, again, thanks. Department of Defense Skill Bridge Program. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Help bridge into that. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
Camille, I like that.
That's nice.
Motivate use with hashtags.
Mhm.
Yeah, the EM challenge is a good one for sure.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
yeah,
so
participate so one way I feel is that the EM challenge is a great way to motivate other people to earn certificates, but it also allows others to see what you're going for that are
yeah,
in, on LinkedIn. Like, okay, he or she just earned that certificate. That's something that goes on with our job field. So yeah, that do the EM challenge. I encourage you. I didn't know that was still going on for a while. I was like, where's it at? So yeah, participate in these little challenges. And then Camilo, hashtag motivation, EM motivation, whatever we need to do to create something that aligns us all together, pulls us all in together.
you have to keep learning, because if Brandy sees that you are not keeping up, she's going to cut you loose. So, and I would say so. Thanks, yeah, Kyle. Yeah, you also mean so that professionals can know where to look as to provide their best expertise. Yeah, 100%, and where they fit in with their expertise. Yeah, something you just said there kind of sparked something, but I forgot where I was going with it. I can't remember what I was going to ask you next.
Okay.
Motivation, something about EM.
Motivate.
Yeah, use that hashtag.
Yeah,
Hashtag
EM
EM
motivate.
motivation. You
Yeah.
want, is it EM or EMO? Like,
AEMO.
well, no, is
Oh.
it going to be when you do EM motivation, is it 2 M's or 1 M? Should the EM motivation, or should it be EMM?
Okay, you're talking about
Yeah.
we'll work it out. We'll figure it out. EM
Yeah.
nerds. That's yeah. There's a lot of us that are nerds, aren't there?
Well, what do you think, Camilo? Should it be EM motivation or just EM motivation? You know what I mean?
Break it like
I don't know.
I don't know.
This
Yeah,
is
I don't know.
horrible. This is a horrible
So
conversation.
complex.
People are starting to log off because of this. We got to
Oh no! Well, then you're getting
No.
kicked out of the group. So bye.
Nice. Okay. Here we go. There's the official
There
hashtag.
it is.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
the official hashtag EM motivation. Include the hashtag AEMO on that. If you've got advice or tips or whatever, if you could be like those people on Instagram that yeah, that was a good one too.
Enthusiasts.
The
Yeah.
enthusiast. Nice. You can be at the study hall studying, rocking it out, take a picture of yourself studying at 12 o'clock at midnight. just like those people do with like the kettlebells at 4 a.m. with a pool of sweat under them on Instagram. Like,
Okay.
it's horrible.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know. What else? Did you have anything else that you wanted to bring up for the group, or?
No, I'm just want to just thank everybody, for joining AEMO. I didn't really expect it to blow up so quickly,
Yeah.
and to see the support that it's receiving. I like literally started it at night, like at 10 o'clock at night, and then started creating other little things. And then I'm just blown away. And so I just can see so many other things happening. When somebody asks me, what are your short-term goals and your long-term goals? As this has been going on, AEMO is like now having long-term goals. The short-term goals are being smashed,
Yeah.
and so we're going to start knocking out the long-term goals. And so I want everybody to participate, especially the aspiring emergency managers. This is an opportunity for you to get some skills, to find a niche, to create some relationships between professional emergency managers, to find out where your direction is going to be going. Start creating goals, talk to people. I'm trying to really motivate people to be in the discussion board. I know it's really hard to receive notifications from LinkedIn groups, so you can't see if things have been posted or if anybody has responded, because there's people who are responding to me. But just, if you have a question, and there's like 555 people in this group, okay, somebody's going to see your question and somebody's going to answer. Okay. And
Yeah.
if they don't answer, you let me know and I'll make sure these people answer. I will tag them. Okay. Because I know some of these people. All right.
So where do you want to be at the end of the year in terms of numbers? Like, you're at 550 now. What would be a nice end of the year goal?
555 right now is good for me.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about numbers. I just think about results. As far as like, I see the aspiring emergency managers are getting out there and they're saying, I got a job.
Yeah.
I'm loving my job. That's
Yeah.
you get a job and hate it. I don't want you to get a job and hate it. I want you to get and be passionate about your career in emergency management,
Yeah.
when you get out there. And that's what we're trying to do. So as far as numbers goes, I mean, if we can hit 1,000, that's cool.
All right.
We can run with that.
Okay. So yeah, if you're listening, start tagging other professionals, aspiring EMs. If you are a professor or instructor, tag your students in LinkedIn with the AEMO hashtag, send them the link, do whatever you can to get us up, get Brandy's group up to 1,000. Absolutely. Whatever number of people are engaged. So yeah, good point, Tobias. Whatever number of people are engaged is the right number. That's
Yes.
whoever's willing to contribute to the community is the right number. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, here's a shout out to Brandy. Yep. Well, she's got me motivated. I'm going to start tagging AEMO on everything now. Absolutely. You're welcome, Kyle. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being here. Okay, well, I don't know. Is that good? Is there anything else we need to discuss? I don't know.
No, not really. I mean, I think we're good. I mean, the group is good. We're good. This conversation is great. So
okay. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for coming on here. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. Yes.
You're welcome, and having the context for the group. I think it's going to do awesome. How do you want people to get in touch with you? Where can they find you?
You can always, I literally am attached to my phone. I'm trying to have Wednesdays and Saturdays off of LinkedIn and AEMO. But you can definitely send me a message on LinkedIn. I will always receive it. I see everything, all the messages. I go through them and I try to like literally respond to everybody. So you will get a response within the next 12 to 24 hours from me. So
you really need to look at developing this organization, because you need to start getting paid for some of the work you do, because you're doing a ton of work. And if it's like, I know people don't always like talk about money and stuff like that, but when you're leading a group like this and helping individuals, it's valuable in a lot of different ways. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of support out there, and yeah, keep going.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Appreciate you tuning in today. And we will be back next week with Dr. Glenn Williams Jones, or James, I forget his last name. Sorry, doctor, but he's a volcanoist, and he's going to be talking about volcanic hazards and risks in Canada. I'm going to get him talk a little bit about the northwest United States, where Brandy is from. So it'll be very interesting. So stay tuned for that.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye, everyone. And stay connected.